Yes. You know what that sound means. I'm in the paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese. Round 18 takes us just north of that equator. It's hot, baby. We're back for the 16th time Singapore Grand Prix. The city-state of Singapore is a global financial shipping hub, along with a big thing in aviation as well, I found out. Did not know that before today, actually. But while you're there, you can check out the Jules Changi Airport. That is an attraction amongst itself. Just showing up there, you see some things. Check out the Marina Bay and check out that light show at night. And, of course, check out the Singapore Zoo. This ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing the Marina Bay Circuit. 3.06 miles. 19 corners now. 4 DRS zones. You give it the full beans for 53% of your lap. Part of the track and free service for the first time since the first race held in Singapore. So how about that? It's a little change. Russell had the surprise pole. Got off to a better start on Max, who started off in the soft tires and held on into turn 1. Norris made a move on Oscar as well on the start there. Pissing Oscar off pretty much for his whine for most of the race. Into third himself there for Norris. And that was pretty much it, because you really can't pass in Singapore. Even though they got 4 DRS zones, it's rough. Russell cruises to take the win. Still not on the contract, by the way, as well. Max takes second. Lando takes third. McLaren clinches with the constructors. Things to unpack after this one. Let's have to go. We're caffeinated. We are medicated. Green, hello.
Hello. What a race we had under the lights in Singapore. Once again, congratulations to George Russell for winning. Definitely people were pumped up for that one. Listen, thank you everyone, because last week was the biggest week we ever had on the program. Thank you for everyone donating to the show. You can just jump on anywhere you get your podcast, and if you feel want to help us out a little bit there and become a member subscriber, that would be amazing, and you could donate up to even as little as 99 cents to the show. But either way, we are coming at you once again after the Singapore Grand Prix. The race tightens just a little bit as Max Verstappen picks up 6 points on Oscar Piastri, and Lando Norris picks up as well a couple points on Oscar, as Oscar goes fourth, Lando goes third, Max second, George Russell. Like literally the opposite of where they are. If you look at the standings, Russell's fourth, Verstappen's third, Norris is second, Piastri's first, and they flipped that order over, and that's where they finished today. So very, very interesting in that regard. Again, Russell picking up an important 25 points. McLaren, hello. I mean, obviously it was a foregone conclusion that they should have taken this, last time out, but they do win back-to-back Constructors Championships, so congratulations to everything they did. It's kind of like always weird when you kind of almost back into it, without a win or without a team that, a double podium or, back-to-back weeks where you get, one podium place where you should have gotten 3 or 4. But nonetheless, they do win, but it does make the rest of the season very, very interesting with only one McLaren on podium, and that McLaren not being the race leader. So how do we feel about the race tightening? I guess that's the biggest news as we tighten just a little bit. Like I said, flip-flop the top 4, and that's how they finish. And 6 races to go. How you feeling, Cheese?
Where to start here? Little surprising Max didn't get the little surprising Max didn't get the start, especially starting on the soft tires. I guess you're starting on the dirtier side of the track, I think so, but still. I was really expecting Max to win, to be honest, especially given the opportunity to gain the extra, to gain more points and put more pressure on the 2 McLaren drivers for the driver's title. Very surprised with Oscar being so frustrated and just I'm so annoyed that Lando, went for made that move on him beginning of the race. A little surprising with that. It's showing, I don't know, a lot of maybe some nerves starting to really kick in. Leading the drivers' title with this, few races left to go, and the pressure starting to mount more and more each week. Is there a little something going on with that? And then how the hell is George Russell still not under contract? Like, to be freaking real. Let's how is that possible? Seriously. Seriously. With the season he's had. I mean, that is freaking unreal. And the amount of times they mentioned it during the broadcast, even like, and this guy's still not under contract. Like, that's freaking ridiculous, especially at this late in the season. Like, absolutely insane to even have that thought. But amazing performance by George today, just completely dominant, to be honest. And I think Singapore maybe owed him a little bit too after a couple of years ago when he made that late snafu following Lando and crashing out there with a couple laps to go. So
that was brutal. That was an all-time.
I mean, so maybe you need a little. Maybe Singapore needed, owed him a little payback in a way too. So, but.
Well, I don't know if Singapore owes you anything, but let me address all 3 points you made, and those are excellent points that you made. First of all, as far as Max starting second, being on the dirty side of the track, the rain pre-race really, really helped clear that track up. And really, to your point, should have given Max the opportunity to overtake George Russell. And as I spoke about last week, George Russell's been my MVP for most of the season.
Yeah.
He's been my MVP, and I'll just go right into it. Is being my MVP. How the hell is he not under contract? And who can woo him? Haas, maybe. I don't know. Who can woo George Russell over? It could be total free agent if he feels he's disrespected by Mercedes. And
I mean, he could go to Red Bull. Red Bull doesn't have that seat filled.
And even more so, if we just found out, over the last, couple days ago that, last race out, George Russell might have been battling the flu.
Yeah.
Last race out.
He was still sick this week too.
So in Baku, and now he's racing in probably the most difficult physical race for those who don't know. As far as Singapore, and not just the heat being on the equator, but the humidity. And the humidity of that area is just brutal. And if you're not used to it, and as you mentioned many times, as if you've seen the F1 movie or watched anything, when the guys get on the bikes and race in the sauna, this is why they do that. That's why they race in the hottest of conditions, because you're going to have these situations. Now, give credit to Formula One, because apparently they made a lot of changes to the car for this race. And apparently some plumbing was added into the cars, which makes things very interesting. Use your imagination on why some plumbing was added in there. But
it was labeled to be the new rule with the new, heat limit for the drivers' race, so they all had to wear their cool suits to keep them, because it gets freaking hot in an F1 car. It's like 160 degrees, and you're like cooking like a piece of chicken.
It's hot. It's normally hot. Yes, hot, I've worked in an industrial kitchen before. I don't know if you've ever worked in an industrial kitchen, but I've worked in one where it's pretty much 140 to 160 degrees constantly. But I also, there's like a walk-in refrigerator and a walk-in freezer which you could jump into, to cool down and get back in there. You don't have that for those 90 plus minutes, 2 hours that you're going to be in the car there. So lose a lot of liquid, a lot of weight. You got to keep drinking. You got to keep staying hydrated. And if you got to pee, just let it flow, man. There should be plumbing in these cars. Have you ever taken a piss in the car before?
Yes.
Yes. I have
Not
as
in a
well.
race car before, but
Not in a race car. I got caught in a bad accident last year driving back from Canada. I wasn't in the accident, but someone else was. 3 hours in traffic. You got to pay, man. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
That was a rough one. But at the same time, when you got to stay hydrated like that to the level you got to stay hydrated, yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Well, these guys really don't even drink that much during the race because the water that they have sits right behind them.
Mm-hmm. Boiling. Water's right boiling.
So by the within a couple laps, that's basically like drinking a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. It's boiling water.
So it's not really going to cool you off. It's just going to add give you more just liquid in your body, but you're already cooking like a piece of chicken in there too. So
yeah, but P.S. Kudos to George Russell, not just under the conditions of Singapore, but under his health conditions and everything going on. Holy crap, man. Especially back-to-back races between Baku and Singapore, doing what he just did. God damn, it's damn impressive.
Keep that man under contract. Total Wolf better get on the phone and get that done.
Oh,
and I'll see him go join Red Bull or something.
And real quick, my last point, and then I'll let you finish up, is Oscar Piastri getting pissed off and Lando Norris and this whole situation. First of all, the pit stops, call them shit stops this week for McLaren. I mean, really, they really backed into the title. You got team strife going on. You got terrible pit stops. They wanted to kill each other, but P.S., we just won the constructors. So it's so interesting, but this is, I think, really a turn for Piastri, who was playing with house money for a lot of the year, meaning that if anyone was going to win going into the 2025 season in McLaren, it was going to be Lando Norris. And Piastri flipped that script. So he's playing with house money pretty much. There was no expectations for him. And now the script is flipped. And Oscar Piastri he's the Vegas odds-on favorite. I think he was minus 250 now, or minus 200, minus 250 to win the drivers' championship at this point. Maybe that's changed after today. The race just ended a couple hours ago here, but the pressure is now on him, and he never had the pressure on him before. He put it on himself, and it's very different when you put pressure on yourself versus now the media puts pressure on you. All's well and good, and everyone loves the underdog when they come up, and that'll last 6 months max. Think of all the actors, all the people in sports, and everyone's like, oh, he came from the shit situation and picked himself up by his bootstraps and made it, and we're all rooting for him. And then 4 months later, they're like, screw this guy. Just turns quick. People be turning on you quick.
Yeah.
And Oscar Piastri's feeling that right now.
That's fair. I think that the pressure winning a Formula One championship is not pressure that any of us can understand.
You're gonna seal your name in history.
Yeah, I mean, so premier racing series in the world, and really in the world championship with 6 races to go, and the pressure's just going to mount every week. Especially when you got your teammate close, and you can hear the Jaws music and Max in the background because he's still not out of it.
Yeah, you want to have your name etched in the books with the greatest of all time. You are going to have to step it up, and this is the time. Now, not saying Oscar Piastri can't, but let's back it up. If Oscar Piastri loses this championship, it's going to be it could be absolutely devastating for his career.
100%.
It could be and that would be sad. Especially a guy who he put so much pressure on himself, and now the public, the Formula One fan base is putting the pressure on him, and he's never been used to that before. This is new to him.
Yeah, I guess he thinks he's going to get all the benefits of the doubt in the team. Or going back to last year or something, I guess you think he's owed
No
a
mo.
bit from, giving Lando a lot of opportunities and giving up things to Lando at the end of the year. But last season, with Lando's trying to, win the title, so I guess he's thinking he's supposed to get some payback, but that's not really the way McLaren goes. They got two drivers that are pretty much equal in the standings, and they're going to let him race. So he's got to step it up and race. You're a race car driver. What isn't it? The old saying that Senna said: if you're not going to go for the gap, then why you here racing? Like, race car drivers go for the gap. You
Dead on
stick
point.
your nose in there and go for it.
Dead on point. Art and Senna said a lot of smart things, and that was definitely one of them. If you're not going to take it, then why are you there? And when you have by far the fastest car and the best mechanics and everything's going great, you saw those results. And I'm going to quote Mike Tyson now in saying that everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. And I think the last couple races, Oscar Piastri finally got punched in the face. Mm-hmm. Max Verstappen winning back-to-back, and now George Russell not being on the podium at Baku, not being on the podium in Singapore. Looking at last season, as we talked about extensively, either last week or two episodes ago, I think it was last episode. Check that out, our number one episode of all time, and thank you all for checking that out and making that the number one episode of all time. But if you listen to what we said, we went back through every race in the fall of last year and went over where Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri finished, and it was not impressive. I believe the last 7 races of the season, McLaren had 3 total podiums, so 14 opportunities to podium over the last 7 races, and they got on there 3 times between Piastri and Norris last season. And it looks like they're heading in the exact same direction now. 2 races into the fall calendar and 1 podium spot out of 4 opportunities. Not good for McLaren's potential championship, and George Russell and Max Verstappen are not backing down. If you think George Russell and Max Verstappen are going to start backing down now, you're sadly mistaken.
No, you're sadly mistaken, man.
Yeah. All right, dude, which, of course, brings us into me being maybe sadly mistaken that I might take 3 out of 3 today, because I'm going to strap in my helmet, jump in the car here. We're going to take a lap around. It is Quizmaster's cockpit. Cheese has 3 questions. He's going to try to derail me. He's going to try to crash me out. I'm going to try to make it around the lap with 3 purple sectors, and Cheese is going to do everything possible to make sure that does not happen. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. Are you ready, sir?
I did not do the studying that I normally do for this episode. So I thought I have some understanding of the history of the Singapore Grand Prix, but I guess I'm going to find out here.
All right, well, let's dive right in. Sector 1, question 1. When was the first F1 Grand Prix in Singapore?
I think that was 2008.
That is correct.
I think there was 2008. Ding. 2008.
That is correct.
All right. You're throwing out cupcakes to start here.
Who has the most wins at the Singapore Grand Prix?
I want to say Lewis, but I think it's Vettel. I think Vettel won here.
Correct.
Nice.
Is correct.
I think he won both with the Ferrari
5.
and the Red Bull.
And the Red Bull. Yeah, you are correct, sir.
And the Red Bull.
He has 5. Wow. Oh, man. Cue that music.
What does Lewis have, 4? Because Lewis is one in the McLaren and the Mercedes and the Merc as well. So another driver has won with 2 different cars in this track.
Wow, 2 for 2. Question number 3.
Sweating down the stretch.
Who won the first Grand Prix at Singapore in 2008, also known as Crashgate?
I know this.
Oh, he knows it. He's pumping his fist.
I know. I was pumping my fist. Because I knew it. Right off the bat. I didn't even study this week. I study every other weekend. I usually get 2 out of 3. I put in no time to study at all. I got stuck behind a slow driver for miles just getting to the studio who almost crashed like 500 feet from my front door right in front of me, the driver in front of me, so who blows a red light. But the answer, sir, is a driver who drove today. And that would be Fernando Alonso.
Meatloaf, that said 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but you got 3 for 3. That is correct, sir.
As soon as you said the question, I knew it.
Cupcakes this week, but I didn't. I actually thought you would have stumbled on a couple of them. So very well done, sir. That is a hot lap.
That is a hot lap. I think that's only my 3rd or 4th of the season. But yeah, away we go. We got a lot of that music this season. Put my head in the books. You might have to go back and rethink your strategy.
Well, I'm gonna have to start diving deeper or something. Some deeper into the archives.
All right. So
that'll take us to winners. That'll take us to winners. And I'll go right into that winner who was the last answer as well. Fernando Alonso, 8th place. Aston Martin kind of struggled in quali. But Fernando being Fernando wheels that car to 8th, passing people there late. It was pretty freaking impressive and fun to watch, actually, to see Fernando wheeling and dealing. So, Fernando Alonso, 8th place, great finish for him. He was having a rough go there for a while, but Kimi Antonelli, again, a top 5. Actually said, I think, after quali that emotions got in his way, and he could have actually possibly had pole, too. So, but 5th place, first time racing at Singapore in Formula One, solid finish, top 2, double Mercedes top 5. So, way to go, Kimi. Turning things around here late in the season. Those will be my winners.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm going to start with Carlos Sainz. I know he finished 10th and take a point, but he started I think 18th, 17th, 18th. So he was last row because we had two drivers starting from pit lane. So basically last row to start. Finishes 10th, a guy who's won here before, who struggled a lot this season with Williams, and, but I'm going to give at least him that single point there. And got to give it to Ollie B. Come on, Ollie. Finally, once again, getting a couple points on the board, finishing 9th. Got to give it to Ollie. And Haas. Ocon was just terrible all weekend, and Ollie's really showing that he's better than Esteban Ocon, who's supposed to be teaching him how to be driving. And I think Esteban should be taking notes from Ollie at this point. And those, sir, are my winners, which brings us into losers. Who you got?
I had to give it to Pierre Gasly. Disastrous weekend. 19th, disaster in quali. Just all around horrid weekend for him.
Again.
Again. Colapinto finishing ahead of him again as well. So things have gone south for Pierre very quickly here last number of races. Lawson, another driver who had a disastrous weekend. I don't even know what he crashed 3 times during practice. I had to rebuild the car multiple times. Even got it to even get him in the quali. 15th, just
Liam Lawson
bad weekend.
in free practice. The fact that he comes out in, I think it was FP3 and just crashes out again. It's like, you ever seen that video? It's a pretty popular video on like TikTok or YouTube or whatever your social media shorts you get. And it's this lady like walking out of like a train station, and it's glass glass walls, and she walks into a glass wall thinking it's a door. She smashes her face, and she goes to the next glass and thinking that's a door. She just smashes her face and goes to the next glass and thinks that's the door. I think it was like the third or fourth time where she finally found the door. The one glass panel was actually the door. Like, just face first. It was a face plant. A face plant. And the fact that Liam Lawson was turning it around. It was turning Red Bull around. Red Bull as a whole has been turning around as well. And you really think, Racing Bulls are going to have a weekend, especially if you look at the quali and how well Red Bull and Racing Bull both did in the in a lot of the corners, especially the slow speed corners. They really were killing it in the slow speed corners, and they really should have done a lot better. And the fact that you had 4 Red Bulls between Red Bull and Racing Bull finishing in the top 10, all scoring points out in Baku, and you had only Max Verstappen finishing in the points out of those 4 cars this week. So, yeah.
Those would be my losers.
Yeah, I don't even know what the freaking heck I was going with that one. Who do I got in my losers? Nico Hulkenberg doing the moonwalk out there. You know what? He start. He was looking good all weekend, and then he just couldn't do it this weekend, or today in the race. Moonwalk in the car, just really got lucky to be crashing out where he did, and really Sauber as a whole really took a big step back this weekend. Bortoletto as well really didn't look good, so you got to give it to them looking like crap, and you got to give it to Yuki again. You can go with him, you can go with Lance Stroll, you can go with Isaac Hadjar. All three of them had opportunity to score points this weekend, and none of them did. Isaac having a really good weekend going in, having a rough day today. Yuki's just, you take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, Yuki. This guy might not even be in Formula One next year.
I think it might be 1 step forward for him and 3 steps back.
Yeah, it's just, he gave you a glimmer of hope in Baku, like I just mentioned, but again, crap. And then Lance Stroll, I don't even know. When Fernando Alonso's finishing 7th, you really have no excuse. You really have no excuse when your teammates finishing 5-6 spots ahead of you over and over again. Fernando Alonso, a good 15 years your elder, and just constantly outpacing you. It's a big wad of losers. It's a big wad of losers, which we still got more losers to go because you're firing up that right hand, maybe even the left hand. Because, of course, somebody's getting...
I need to slap my goddamn self for that.
Somebody's slapping their goddamn selves. Who's it going to be, Cheese?
I don't know if you agree, but I think it's got to be Williams. I mean, at this point in the season, you're going to have both cars disqualified from qualifying for having the DRS gap above the 85 millimeter limit. I mean, that's freaking embarrassing. That's sad. That's pathetic. I mean, it's this late in the year. Come on. That's amateur hour. That's amateur hour.
My winner with Carlos Sainz, putting him in the winners column, was in spite, and I didn't want to go too far into it because I knew you were going to mention this. We talked about it pre-show. Was in spite of Williams' flaws, because what could have Carlos Sainz done if he was started 10th even? Because he started 18th and finished 10th. So really, and then you put Albon on, he started on pit row, pit. So I mean, it's just a disaster for Williams. So yeah, I'm giving Carlos Sainz the win column in spite of what Williams did. But you're 100% right. And again, talking about taking 1 step forward and 3 steps backwards, I feel the same way a lot of times, with Williams and what the front office has done. A lot of times, every time you think they're taking a step forward, it's just James Vowles. I've been rooting for him forever, and really been rooting for Williams really because of James Vowles, and he just shows he gets it done one week and then falls apart the next, and stupid mistakes like that, we saw this for Ferrari last year, the same kind of thing. I believe it was with Charles Leclerc last year getting DQ'd. I believe it was earlier this year or last year with the same kind of
they both
floorboard.
got disqualified earlier in the year too. So
yeah, with the same kind of floorboard stupidity. This is basic stuff.
Yeah, plank, the overworn plank. It's embarrassing. Yeah, but that's you can't be qualified with 6. Disqualified both cars with 6 races to go. I mean, that can't happen. That's embarrassing. That's amateur hour.
No, it's been too long of a season. Way too long of a season to blow at this point. But, blowing smoke, it's kind of what we do around here.
Oh, yes. That sound means the best damn sound of the week. Time to take that fantasy ride to the fantasy island of Greatopia. When the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer. Let me tell you, the beer was flowing out here on Friday night. I got my ass trashed. But anyway.
What was the occasion, sir?
No real occasions. First
Friday night. Friday night sounds like an occasion to me.
Met a couple friends, and once the first one goes down that quick, you just things happen, my friend.
Right on.
But we're here at Greatopia. Not only does the beer flow like wine, the wine flows like beer. The cannabis, I guess, my friends, that grows as far as the eyes can see. Had a little bit of that too Friday night too. So it was a
Friday night party time.
It was a damn good adventure. We're gonna take those tickets to the top of the hill. Casino at the top. We cashed in or check it out. Sorry, a little different intro than normal, but
all good,
we had
man.
some fun this weekend.
All good.
We had some fun.
All good, and I think we both had interesting wagering going on because we both ended up on the negative side, but barely on the negative side. But let's go over some of these bets we had here. We both had the same trifecta straight, which was Max Russell Norris. I'm sorry, Max Russell Piastri. I apologize. And it ended up being Russell Max Piastri. Norris. You had it as well, box and straight. So you lost out on both of those. I did as well. You did have George Russell for the win, plus 120, so you'll take that down, at least salvage a little bit of your greenie bucks here. Only taking a slight loss of 40 greenie bucks this week, putting you at 3,427 greenie bucks. I took a little bit of a dive as well, but I did win with my aforementioned Carlos Sainz coming in 10th, finishing in the top 10. And
why he made your winners. That's why he made your winners.
Absolutely. You win me cash, I put you in the winners column. At least he didn't win me. Overall, I was a loser, negative 25 greenie bucks on those bets because I did lose 3 out of 4, but that one win was pretty significant. Plus 250, I will take that. That is called an EV bet, my friends. That is a value bet. So as all we do is take value bets. I don't think we ever take non-value bets. But of course, if you're in the U.S., 1-800-GAMBLER, and if you do have a gambling problem, you should seek help. As you go stone face there, you got the gambling problem? Someone got to talk about?
I got no gambling problem.
Right on.
I'm good.
Right
Call
on.
me down on gambling. Ask for help. Help is good.
Help is good if you need it. Absolutely.
That leaves just one thing left. It's time for
In the news. We are not chock full. Not chock full.
No, we are not chock full. I got 2 for you.
All right.
We covered a little bit of the second one earlier, but I think it also needs a little bit of extended discussion. But the first piece of news we have is Christian Horner has apparently got on the phone and was a dialer He was dialing Haas and Aston Martin, trying to get possible positions.
He does.
But apparently nothing panned out with Haas, and nothing panned out with Aston Martin as well. But both teams said that he has contacted them, trying to get a job and trying to get back on the grid. Man's pissed. Wants back out there. Your thoughts? He's on the phone. He's dialing.
Who doesn't want to get back on the track? You tell me. Listen, anybody in any situation that has an opportunity, no matter what it is, you get back on. Obviously, if you're talented enough, the talent will always shine through, right? But at some point, when you have your opportunity, and then the opportunity passes you by, it's one thing. But you have to create an opportunity for yourself. We all create opportunities for ourselves, and sometimes making that call, it gives you a shot. There's 22 seats now, up from 20, so it gives you more and more of a possibility to get back on the grid. And there's definitely going to be people on the grid that by May 1st of 2026 that start, the same 22 drivers that start the season by, again, May or June may not be the same 22 drivers on the grid. So when you have more opportunities, it's a lot. There's going to be more names out there, and you might see some interesting names out there. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's too soon, to be honest, for any team to touch that kettle. I think that kettle's still a little too hot. I think it's
right on.
I love the analogy. I think it's got to. I think, maybe after the 26th season, I think it might be something that a team might step at. I mean, the team that I would think could possibly went that way earlier could have been Cadillac, being a new team. Horner got into when he took over Red Bull when a team changed. It was basically a brand new team. So something he's familiar with to take a team if you want to get to the top of the promised land. That's a spot that I thought would probably be a good spot for him if he was going to go somewhere, immediately after being let go by Red Bull. But as I just said, I think that kettle's a little too hot and needs to cool off first before a team touches it. And I think it might probably after the 26th season. I think it's too late in the year to be, trying to get a new team principal or something like that at this point. I just think it's not the right time of the year. I mean, something could possibly happen in the off season, but I think it's going to have to be probably like a year or so. Maybe he goes on, becomes a pundit for a year or something like that somewhere on Sky or, wherever, before a team possibly approaches them. Because most teams are, kind of set, especially, I think most, teams would have to basically get rid of their team principal to put him in that spot right now, outside of Cadillac. So there's not a lot of spots for him to turn up. I mean, Haas is going to move Io Komatsu, who's completely, changed that team around. Aston Martin's been going through some changes. We'll see what happens next year with the new car that Newey designed. So I think there's, not really anything there at this point. So for the position he probably wants, I don't think it's the right time. I don't think there's a spot there for him.
There's definitely no spot anywhere in any team right now in the position he wants. So it depends what he wants to do. Like I said before, depends what he wants to do. Outside of driving a car, he can pretty much do anything. So, whatever he wants to do, he can do. He might want to say, you know what, I have more money than I ever need, and I'll take a lesser role. But that's also disastrous if he does take a lesser role. So there's no win. I think you're right in the fact that probably the best move is to take a commentating job and be in the booth, make your money that way. You see it all the time with people who are, I don't want to say disgraced, but when you're in that position, you're a public-facing position. And you need as close to 100% of the public to like you as possible. If Red Bull was finishing 1-2, 4 out of 5 races, no matter what he did, he wouldn't have never lost his job.
No.
This is a combination of scandal, and then once a scandal happens, they look for any reason to get rid of you. And that reason might not come for years. Also, Red Bull might turn it around completely. They have all the money in the world to do it. They have all the resources to do it and turn it around.
Mekis has done a really good job. He's changed the way they even do things, being a little bit more aggressive with tire choices and things like that, if you've seen over the last, few races. So, the man was also at the same job for 20 years. Wasn't it Bill Parcells for, American football term? Once you're at a job for a certain amount of time, it's time to, I think it was something like 10 years or something. It's time to move on. So, he was at the same job for 20 years. Changed that team from nothing to winning, eight world titles he was involved in, and 8 or 7 or 8 constructors with Red Bull. So, sometimes it's time to just, sit back for a year and see things a little different light, and there will probably be a team that'll reach out next season, or mid to late next season when a job possibly is going to open. If Fred Vasseur doesn't turn things around at Ferrari, who we didn't mention the entire show because they pretty much were non-existent trash all weekend, but unless Fred Vasseur turns something around here next year, I think he could end up with the Ferrari job, because Ferrari's not going to stand around and without things starting to change. So,
yeah, I've been disappointed with Fred Vasseur. Especially recently. I was kind of disappointed. I was watching him all weekend. He seemed a little too, and I don't know. I know it's might be a little off topic, but maybe not. But he seems complacent. You probably follow Ferrari a lot closer than I do, but he seems just in his 100%. Interviews. He seems to me, I'm getting the vibe that he's way too complacent and kind of not pissed enough that there's not a Ferrari on podium every single week. There should be a Ferrari, especially now when you really legit have 4 teams. It should be 4 teams. It's 3. It's Mercedes, it's McLaren, it's Red Bull. And the fact that Ferrari should have been the number 2, at worst number 3 team on the grid this year, and is clearly the 4th best team, and Fred Vasseur is not pissed about that, that's been rubbing me the wrong way, and I'm not even a Ferrari fan. So I know you and I have not spoken about this, but
I've not been a happy camper. That's for goddamn sure.
I can't imagine any Ferrari fan being a happy camper.
When they were mentioning possibly Horner coming to Ferrari next year, I was kind of on board with that at this point, because Fred Vasseur, as you said, absolutely agrees. He's very complacent. There's no threat. He doesn't seem like there's a threat to his job. And I think, you're the team principal at Ferrari who was expected to challenge for the constructors and the drivers title this year, and your team is absolute trash. Your car was a disaster. You're the team principal. You're the buck stops here, as they said. And the buck doesn't seem to be, well, brush the buck aside. He's not taking responsibility as, a bunch of other team principals would. So I've not been a happy camper with Fred Vasseur. His performance has not been impressive.
Yeah.
Every year the team, since he's been there, the team was supposed to make that step forward. It really hasn't made that step forward.
Nope.
Strategy's still a disaster at times. It's still a mess. He hasn't changed a goddamn thing.
No, and Charles Leclerc finds himself now 60 points.
Mateo was doing a better job, and look what he's actually doing what he's done over at Sauber. So who made the wrong decisions there? So don't get me started. I'll get too hot this late in the show. Get fired up. Disasters.
Keep it calm.
I'm gonna throw up.
Keep it calm. Listen, could be worse. Could be a lot worse.
Disgusting.
But not much. Again, the fact that you were supposed to be competing, Ferrari was supposed to be competing It does leave a big door wide open, potentially, but I just don't see, I don't know why I don't see Christian Horner taking on a prominent role at another team. It's just weird because he's been with Red Bull so long. He's established Red Bull in such a way where it's taken it from like being known as an energy drink to being known as a global brand the way it is, and being not synonymous with a beverage and being synonymous with like high impact sports. Christian Horner has a lot to do with that, and to see him in any other role in any other organization, especially a similar role, because he's going to want everything if he's going to work. That's why I mentioned before, I wasn't even being funny when I was saying it, like, he might want to take on a smaller role just to do something.
I mean, I've heard something wild, too, that I've heard a rumor out there. I mean, it's just a rumor at this point, but he might also possibly be gathering, a bunch of people to try and possibly create a 12th team. I mean, that was thrown out there as well that I saw. I think that was a kind of an off wild rumor, but I mean, is a possibility.
If he can get the backing from, and I don't even know who he would get the backing from, but if he can get the backing from maybe BMW or Porsche coming back in the mix,
Well, if Volkswagen was going to do anything, Porsche would have been their choice over Audi. So probably not that. I mean, there's BMW, like you said, could definitely be somebody. I mean, with the Cadillac joining GM, you could see, Ford could possibly want to throw. He's got some connection with Ford too through Red Bull. Could throw another, wild elite Italian team there and say possibly Lamborghini.
Yeah, the way, just driving around the New York City area now and seeing McLaren dealerships popping up, it seems like a direct line between the popularity of Formula One and the fact that McLaren dealerships are popping up. Like, I've never seen a McLaren dealership in my entire life in the New York City area. And we were dealing with some of the wealthiest people that are right around the neighborhood where I'm at right now. And, seen plenty of Ford and Toyota dealerships around here, but never a McLaren. And I don't see any Lamborghini. We see very specific Formula One high-end cars that people want to be F1 drivers, and they want to drive up and down the Garden State Parkway thinking they're an F1. And those who have the money to do it, obviously it seems that there's a direct line with that. So Lamborghini wants to sell more cars in some of the wealthiest areas of the world. Specifically here in the New York City area, Formula One's a great pipeline to do it.
Yeah, some thoughts.
Could be, and I'm really, really curious to see what's going to happen over the next 5 years with Cadillac, if Cadillac's going to pull out some kind of crazy $250,000 luxury car that I'll be seeing around my neighborhoods over the next couple of years here. We'll see, because I like seeing like McLaren Sennas being driven around on a Sunday afternoon. It's just crazy seeing them like all the time. I remember the first time seeing one, it was like stopping my car in the middle of the road to take a picture of it, and now I'm seeing them all the time. It's just wild seeing regular people around here just driving supercars like that. And again, I
drive to work in the morning. Line. I see Ferraris, Lambos. I see a lot of wild things on my way to work.
Not something you would see 10 years ago.
I'm not surprised I would not see 10 years ago.
At the rate you see them now. No. And again, we're living in two of the top 4 or 5 wealthiest metropolitan areas in the United States. So maybe we're, you might not see the same whatever somewhere else. But yeah. Anyway, dude. We've been rambling for a while here. You got any more in the news, or are we finishing up here?
That's it. That's all I got for you.
There's plenty of news from me. So where are we going next, sir?
A couple weeks' time, we will be heading to Texas. Get some good barbecue, some high-quality racing at Coda.
Austin, baby. Austin. The home of American comedy as well.
It's home to a lot of things.
We'll see what's going to go down.
Kind of the music capital as well.
I don't know. Nashville might have something to say about that one, but
a lot more different kind of music is played down there in Austin. So,
Austin, one of the fastest growing cities in America, for sure. So we'll see what happens next week. Say what you got to say, brother.
And we'll catch you next week for probably In the News. Until then, as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.